Hello, everyone. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to Telling Tales. It's Wednesday night. That means Symbaroum in these here parts. And who are we to buck that wonderful trend? Yep. Let's get the nonsense out of the way. Down below this stream, there are a number of links. There are links to social media and Discord and our various websites, our merch store, our Patreon, all the stuff you might expect. Check them out if you're interested. We're running a number of weekly campaigns, or at least regular campaigns here at the moment. Monday night is the still relatively new Masks of Nyarlathotep campaign from Johnny and the Monday Crew. That is, of course, Call of Cthulhu, a famous pre-written campaign that they're venturing through, which, given Johnny's penchant for slow burn, like me, in his campaigns, probably means they're going to be playing it for the next 20 years or so. So why not get yourself in now when the getting's good? Wednesday night is, of course, Symbaroum. That's you're watching here. Speaking of campaigns that can last 20 years. And then Thursdays at the moment is only fortnightly, but that is the Yellow King, which is a cosmic horror, alt history weirdness thing that I'm running with a group not entirely the same, but related to Wednesday night Symbaroum, if that's what you're familiar with. Maybe check the Yellow King out. You might like it. We also run one-shots on a semi-regular basis. The next one will probably be around the end of November, and will also probably be the Electric State, which is the latest Free League release. Quiet, weird, techno-apocalypse road trip thing. Yeah, we're looking forward to running that when we get to it. And I think that's about it for opening blurbs. Let's start bringing on the players and start talking about that Symbaroum stuff. Let's begin with Chris. Hello, Chris. Hello, Steo man. Chris plays Steo, former sergeant, City Watch sergeant, former infantryman, now turned sellsword with a heart of gold. Chris, hi. How are you feeling about this big battle that's happening at the moment?
Less and less happy as the turns progress. I think I've found another good option for Steo to take an arrow to the eye. So we'll see how things go, but I'm not as confident as I was going into it anyway.
Literally, chat and Chris both already anticipating the death of Steo here. So there we go. Okay, let's bring on our second player tonight. It's Sam. Sam plays Ascarai, Changeling Ranger, Scout, Archer, one-shotter of bosses, to my eternal chagrin. Sam, how are you? And how's Ascarai in this big chaotic fight? Or I should say above this big chaotic fight.
I'm doing good. I think Ascarai is concerned about the fight, but personally seems to be in quite a good position. So is relatively happy, but also things are kind of looking bad for our guys generally. So worried about that. But at least they aren't all like master acrobatics and making Ascarai shoot his friends. So
no, there's been a lack of that at the moment. These are more guys who'll take several arrows and then hit you in the head, and the head isn't there anymore. They're more that kind of enemies. So there we go. Let's bring on John. John plays Sir Aaron Dar, the last remaining member of House Dar, and a fancy duelist type guy with a lovely cat. Although the cat is safely off in the back of a wagon at the moment. John, how are you? How is Aaron doing?
I'm doing well, but also slightly filled with terror because I always roll all of my d20s at the beginning of a session to figure out which set of dice I should use. And they are all over the place. And so far, I have rolled 4 20 results, which is bad in Symbaroum, and 3 1s. So this could be an exciting session, or it could not be. It could just be a completely normal session, same as always, because past results have no implication for future results. And Aaron's doing fine.
I mean, that is definitely, that latter is the one I'd personally subscribe to, along, I think, with most other, scientists or mathematicians on the planet, but not some, right? Again, let's not go down this hole too much, but like there is some stuff to do with like probability kind of potentially being affected. I might be going a bit quantum. I don't know, in the words of
All
Pratchett.
but
Yeah. Sure.
it, butterfly flapping its wings, etc.
Yeah, I think it's more to do with anyway. I'm sure it's very exciting in a terribly boring kind of way. Let's finish up with Stephen. Stephen plays Elindra, former Templar, turned hacker, a part of things with the big. I mean, that's what Templars do as well, but less for Prios and more
also
gold.
in character. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Stephen, how are you? And how is Elindra in this big old fight, target-rich environment?
I'm fine. I was very much enjoying the fact that the stream for a moment they devolved into hot statistics chat. Elindra. So Elindra's moral compass is wonky at the best of times, but I think she's reasonably sure that morally speaking, she's on the right side. In terms of numbers and power, she's very aware that she's on the wrong side, and is not really expecting to survive this. I think she's as much as one can. She's kind of made peace.
Yeah, and I guess weirdly, like it almost feels like, I guess Elindra would, if there was anything that unites her former life and her current life, like dying to protect Disable the Olds and her, like, you know, sort of commitment to protecting the people of Ravenna probably crosses both those lives in a kind of like, as far as deaths go, this has got to be one that Elindra would feel maybe the most comfortable with.
Yeah, I think so. I think she gives only a very minimal stuff about Duke Inidar, who, to a not small degree, has brought this on himself. Like, she doesn't want him to die, but she's prepared for the fact that that's a very real possibility. But yeah, I think she would happily go down trying to defend the Lightbringer.
Yeah, cool. Well, let's have a little bit of a recap, which I will take care of before we move on. So basically, I keep off topic. I keep remembering, oh, you know what? I ran Yellow King last week entirely in this mode. I don't know. There was just something about it that makes it feel more fun than the zooming in on our horrible faces. I don't know. Let us know what you think out there. Which do you prefer? Big face? Little face? Little face, but more arm room, right? Maybe that's why I like it. I gesticulate a lot more in Yellow King. So you can see my florid limbs. Okay, shut up, Matt. Do the recap. Right. So, basically, where we are in the city of Ravenna, which is where you will arrive to as part of Disable the Lightbringer's retinue, the living saint of the Church of Prios, coming to town on basically a cross-Ambria tour. One of her very close allies in the town of Ravenna turned out he'd been burned to death a few weeks ago, and you entered into a murky hole of very fast-paced investigation throughout the day. That led you to the realization that the sort of elite inquisitorial arm of the Black Cloaks, called the Whip of Prios, was in town looking to either frame or get Duke Inidar for perceived heresy. They had some success, you had some success, but the end result of this is that a large group of the Knights of Dead Prios, what were the Sun Knights, the Templars of the Church, were nearby and needed very little excuse to come to town and just attack it outright at the bidding of the Whip of Prios. This is now happening. The town has kind of been half evacuated, half moved inside the walls, and you are making a kind of like, I mean, last stand implies a certain definitely doomed, which isn't the case. But you're definitely outmatched a bit, if not in numbers, but in certainly in fearsomeness, by this vast son of former Templars who are charging and attacking you. You are mid-battle right now. There is a map. I'm not going to show it again, but essentially you have your half. You kind of have your backs half to the edge of Barbarian Town, or there's a larger space behind you where there's like a marketplace with a well. Within that is a wagon that has all the like. It has Inidar and Saber and various others in and around it. Essentially, you've faced this first charge of the Templars on their horseback on their kind of war steeds, and you're definitely holding up to it. Antom's taking a little bit of a battering, I think, and maybe a couple of other people are taking a little bit, but you're not, you actually haven't killed any of the Templars facing you yet, although very nearly in a couple of cases. One complication is Ivano Viara, the commander of these Knights of Dead Prios, who has almost charged through the central line and is now trying to fight his way to that wagon containing Inadar and Desaber. Although, when I mentioned that last time, no one seemed to give a shit and you're all just carrying on fighting. So we'll see how that works out. Let's...
Three of us don't know about it.
That's true. That's true.
One of us doesn't give a shit.
Asker, I was just like, they don't need to know.
We're fighting for our lives. Who cares about anyone else?
Sure. Okay, let's bring on the initiative, John. So we're just going to get right back into it. It's probably going to be a big old combat session again today, folks. We were at the end of a round. So, Askerai, as you can see it then, Ivano Viara is he's not at the wagon, but he's definitely kind of trying to make his way towards it. Steo is facing off against a Templar, and I believe that they've basically barely exchanged any damage whatsoever between them. Earthon's kind of cut down a horse, leapt forward to kill the Templar, may or may not have done it, and then kind of scrambled back behind the lines quite quickly, like kind of, I nearly made a very bad mistake there sort of thing, and is now standing. Elindra and Revelia were both facing off against one Templar who I believe Elindra knocked off his horse. So now there's like a panicked horse and a rider beyond. So they're not kind of facing anyone at the moment. And that Templar is definitely not dead, is moving around, but could get back up and start fighting, but there's also this horse in the way. Anton, I believe, has been knocked to the ground and is slumped against a building, kind of quite battered and bloody. And their Templar that they're facing, what I think of Ranger and Revealer are on that Templar now.
That rings a bell.
That seems right. But Arin and the Templar he's facing, similarly to Steo, there's not really been much damage exchanged back and forth between them. Both combatants relatively untouched. So So what do you want to do with your undoubted, twang?
Yeah, I'm gonna shoot. But what ability do I have to shoot into these fights? I know I'm up high.
I think you can shoot everyone that they're fighting, and you can also shoot Ivano Viara. You can also shoot a random other Templar in the entire battle, although I doubt you want to do that. The only mild exception I would say is that... but how would we... Yeah, okay. I don't think you can shoot the Templar that Elindra knocked off his horse. I think the horse is in the way, right? And they're on the ground.
Okay.
But the angle's wrong, right? So, but I would say you can shoot anyone else.
Okay. Also, do I get advantage because I'm up high?
You would get an advantage at anyone on the ground, but everyone on their horse is almost as high as you are.
Okay, and at the moment, everyone fighting our guys is on a horse. Is that
Apart
right?
from the guy's fallen off the horse, but you can't see
I
him.
cannot shoot. Okay.
Yes, correct.
I kind of want to keep Anton safe, but it feels like that Templar is already pretty outnumbered by
Elindra and Revelia. Yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe it's still best to shoot that one, and then Elindra and Revelia can help someone else. Maybe I'll do that just to make sure they don't get another hit on a downed Anton. I will try and shoot that one.
Absolutely. Are you going to use your armor penetration and hope they don't make their roll that cancels out armor penetration? Or are you going to do a double shot? Which is better mathematically? I don't know. What would you do?
I think Askrai, at least for now, is going to write the previous shot off as a fluke. Or I thought that would go through, but didn't. And is going to try it again. Sure. I think I shot the one fighting Antom last time, so they have my Hunter's Instinct thing on them that gives me a second chance hit and an extra D4.
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay. What is that? They're -3?
Yes, it is -3.
Okay. So I need a 13 or less. That's an 11. So it makes it.
Okay.
And then I have a D4 from my thing. And then also a D4 because these are cultural beings, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Cultural-ish. That's 10 damage total. Hopefully ignoring armor, but
That's
we'll see.
pretty good. Let's find out if it's ignoring armor or not. It is sadly not ignoring armor. But you still, their armor isn't 10, so you are going to do some damage. And your arrow kind of hammers into, let's say, kind of like their side, but kind of over on the far side of it. So you're not sure it's pierced a major organ, but it has managed to go in. Am I going to say that it actually goes through? An arrow can technically go through plate, but it has to get a pretty big run up to do so. It has to usually be an arc falling at kind of fucking terminal velocity. So I'm going to say that you know what? I'll change that from their side because that would make no sense. I'm going to say it's gone into their collar because you're aiming at where the lines are from their shoulder guards to their gorget and their breastplate, and it's kind of stuck in there. They're still going, but you've done some damage.
Okay, nice.
I take it you're not using any movement in particular, or taking your movement action to do or say anything or interact with anyone?
Not right now.
Fair enough. Elindra, like we say, I think you're facing off against this Templar who kind of has knocked Anton to the ground, who is now stuck with a big old arrow.
Yeah, as I recall, there was one that got dehorsed that was sort of coming directly at Elindra, who is still about, but is
behind a panicked horse. Yeah.
Fool if they're going to get up.
Yeah.
And then this one with Anton, which has been more of a war of attrition. So yes, I think that we are going to hit that guy with a big sword.
Okay. All right, that's a -3 for you.
So I need a 13, and I got a 10.
Mm-hmm.
So damage, we have the Revenant Strike, and so it's D12, 2D4 plus 1. 10.
Okay, another 10. These are feel quite common. That's both the damages we've had tonight. Okay, so you carve out an arc in the air with your blade. The Templar on the horse is kind of reeling back and kind of reaching up to try and kind of break the arrow off with the guard of his sword just in his shoulder. And as he does so, he kind of his sword drops and pulls to the side. And basically you slice out and the tip of your blade runs through the slight hanging of chainmail he's got underneath his throat. You tear it out and a gush of blood pours over the back of his horse, and he kind of tips off to the side, kind of arms flailing a little bit, tips off behind the horse. You're fairly sure he's dead, and he ain't going to be getting back up, but you can't see for sure. But yeah. And you know what? That's 2 big old, probably slightly panicking horses near you right now. I would like you to make a quick roll, please. And I have yet to decide what happens if you fail.
Okay, any modifiers or just straight?
No, just straight up quick roll, I think.
Okay, quick is 13. I rolled a 9, so that is a pass.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. You managed to avoid both of these large, anxious animals and not get battered in one direction or another. Revelia now. So the situation, the 2 of you have 2 panicked horses in front of you. Templars who may be alive or dead have fallen beyond that. You can't honestly see beyond that to see if there's another group of Templars kind of like trying to push through. You literally can't see that from where you are. It's chaos, right?
But we saw them further out on the field, and we have an idea of the numbers, and it's reasonable to assume, unless they've spread very thinly.
But they would have to spread to hit your entire line because you've got more, right? But you literally don't know. You can't see beyond. Ascarai will be, and on his turn, I might tell him what's happening. But other than that, over to your left is another dead horse on the ground and an Earthons. Further over to that is Steo, who's just kind of like poking back and forth with a Templar. And to your right is Arendar, who again is kind of like trying to fence this Templar off their horse. A movement from you will take you, if you want it, either to engage with Steo or to engage with Arendar.
Okay. Then I don't know which one of those she's like. Is there? They both seem to be doing okay. I can't remember.
Yeah, neither of them, neither they or their opponents, have struck a real significant blow.
Okay, I think what Revelia wants to do, and I don't know mechanically how that we would do this, but like if it helps, she has some beast law. I think if she's got these panicked horses in front of her and doesn't know what's behind the horses and wants to make some space, can she just like do her best to like scare them?
Get the horses to move back away. Yeah. Why don't you give me a cunning roll for her?
Cool. She is not particularly cunning. Her cunning is 9, but let's. We rolled an 8. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you know what? She kind of shouts and like she's got a shield, right? She basically just batters the pommel of her sword against the shield and makes a lot of noises. The horses kind of, one of them rears back a bit, the other, and they just desperately trying to like shuffle around and run essentially. And as they do so, you see that there are a couple of Templars forming a rear guard, but they're not actually charging in yet. There's a line of like maybe about like 10 or 15 of them, and they're about 20 foot back from the main battle line, kind of looking around. And as you watch, you see one of them like charges off to the center line, but they're basically waiting for where they see like opportunities or gaps. A couple of them are immediately start eyeing up this, like there's a gap of 3, right, with you there, to see if they want to charge in that. But like, yeah, I don't know what the reaction to that would particularly be.
I don't know. Hopefully they've got some panicked horses to deal with for their immediate future. And then like if I guess if Revelia gets some movement, she'll maybe go and stand next to Arendar. I guess scaring the horses was probably the combat action, but like perhaps we can help with flanking or whatever. Moral support.
Sense. Yeah, but because we went ahead with Revelia, does that mean that Alindra is kind of hasn't moved, right? She's where she is right now.
We didn't say anything about Alindra moving, did we? I guess if Steo and Aaron are like either side of this gap, then perhaps we'll have Revelia go to Aaron and Alindra go to Steo.
Yeah, sure. That's absolutely fine. Okay, we're dealing with the Fallen Templars now. So the how this is going to work is that as the fight is kind of continuing on, you hear a howl through the line of the Fallen Templars, and a renewed sense of urgency and energy falls on them. In mechanical terms, they've all just gone berserk. What that means is they hit a lot harder, but they're going to be a lot easier to hit as well. So there we go. And luckily for you, now is the time they're hitting. So there we go. Steo, can you give me a defense roll, please, at a -5?
It has been an honor playing with you. Get fucked! Get absolutely scrumbled. I'm going to blorp
Nice.
on your scrimblies. Oh, you're all
Oh
so
God,
screwed.
not
That's
while we're live. We'll get demonetized. Although I just literally in this moment realized that I didn't enable monetization on our YouTube stream. So enjoy your free stream, folks.
We're going to remain unmonetized.
I turned it on. Immediate adverts for everyone. Okay. Well, then that is the ability to hit back, right? That is, they miss and you hit back. So,
What's
and
the
they are
attack modifier
berserk.
now?
The attack modifier now is +5.
Oh, fantastic. That's a hit. Basically, everything is. Okay. That is 8.
8 damage. Okay, let me just double check because they're berserker novice, so yeah, they don't get the this thing. Okay, a hit of 8. So basically, what happens is, as I say, these Templars on the front line all kind of like start screaming, shrieking about the death of Prios, and are hacking down at you furiously with their blades. This one kind of spurs his horse a few steps forward towards you, and that sword comes crashing down very hard, very fast. You are literally standing and receiving cavalry is what you do. And you take a quick step to one side, jab out, and you feel parts of this guy's kind of hip armor crumple slightly between from the impact of your spear. And as you pull it back, you see, you're not sure it went too deep, but it definitely has some blood soaking the end of it. But they're also clearly not feeling it because, you know, they've gone a bit crazy. Okay, let's move to Arindar. Arindar, can you roll a defense at a -5, please?
Yes. Oh, that is a fail.
Okay. In that case, do you want to give me your armor roll then, please?
Yes. +1. 7.
7. Okay, that's pretty good. What is your pain threshold? Just because I'm aware it might not be too high.
5.
But you have to go over pain threshold now, don't you?
Yes.
Yes. I mean, you must know what it is if I ask that question. Yeah, the Templar swings down from you, and you feel the sharp, sudden pain of a sword lodging partway into your upper arm. They kind of like yank it back, and your arm almost like pulls you off your feet with the weight of that blade pulling its way free from your arm. It's like your dagger arm, which suddenly feels very wet and very warm. 5 toughness, please.
Yep.
We had a flag in the private chat. Yeah, Alindra does get a free attack from engaging someone. And I know I didn't take. There was a reason why we didn't have some free attacks last turn, and I think it was literally was it because of the cavalry charge last session?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was there wouldn't have been space to do that.
Yeah, that feels fair then. So what I'll do, here's my compromise. When we miss things like this, if we catch them, we'll do them after current rounds, right? So it's like you'll still get it, but like, I guess there's a slight penalty for forgetting, if you know what I mean, because otherwise we have to rewind.
So we can just say that Alindra will engage next turn and we'll get her 2 attacks then.
No, she'll engage after the Fallen Templars have taken their attacks.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Just because otherwise I don't like rewinding. That's basically the reason why.
Can I double check something? Because this is a slightly out of the ordinary situation.
Mm-hmm.
for the sake of my acrobatics,
Mhm.
we're not counting like the entire melee as everyone engaged with each other, are we?
No.
Cool.
Why?
Because with my acrobatics, if I fail a defense roll, then I can use
Mhm.
someone else as a human shield. And I don't want to use Revelia, but
Right.
I'm effectively only against, just because someone raised it in chat. I'm
Yeah.
only against one
No,
enemy, so I can't do
you're
it.
only against one enemy. Yeah, I know it's a big melee and stuff, but we have to have some sense of control on this. Otherwise, you're applying attacks to people I don't have written. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I just
think
wanted
it's,
to double check.
Yeah.
Stop sending one enemy at a time after me.
Soz. Okay, let's figure out. You know what? I think these Templars who are eyeing up this sort of, it's not really a breach you've got here because you're backed by a wall. But I think they're going to. I think a couple of them are going to charge in. Now, here's the thing. I don't think one of them can charge in to Elindra because Elindra is now beyond like a big dead horse on the ground, right? I think that's a difficult thing to charge into without sending your own horse tumbling to the ground. So I'm going to say one of them is charging at Revelia, kind of Revelia and Arendar, but their attack is going to be on Revelia.
Revelia, just going to throw this out there, like specifically spent her turn trying to put some wild horses between her and whoever was behind the front line. So, like, I would hope that they would get in the way in some way. But...
No. There's well, what it was explained to me was that she was trying to see what was beyond.
I think just send the horses back that way as far as they would go.
Sure. I'll tell you what. Okay, I'll put a slight penalty on there to hit, so she'll get a better defense.
I'll take that. Thanks.
But I think like 2 horses wildly running in the direction is not going to stop them moving around those horses and charging.
Fair.
But I'll give her a better defense for the charge. And the other one is literally going to kind of charge into the gap and then look around and then maybe they'll like take advantage of the situation in some other form, right? In fact, I'll tell you what they're going to do right now. They're going to take 2 actions. They're going to charge into the gap and they're going to dismount so they can move on to Elindra or Revelia or whoever next turn. But we will also have an attack against Revelia now. I will give a -2 penalty to the Templar for charging. So can Revelia make a defense at -3, please?
Yes. She needed a 12. She got an 8.
That's good because he was going to hit like a fucking truck.
Yeah.
The Templar goes charging in. Elindra probably isn't even aware of this at this point. But Arendar, you see kind of the Templar charging in, like half leaning to the side of their steed and sort of going to swing, like basically trying to fucking bisect her. And Revelia just kind of like leaps out back flush against the building out of the way and brings her sword down. So only the tip of their blade just kind of clatters against her shield. But she is now engaged with another. So I should split her out really here. There we go. Also, the Templar you knocked off their horse, Stephen. I am going to roll their quick to see if they got trampled by their horse fleeing.
Nice.
And if they fail, they fail. There is a very trampled Templar dead on the ground where those horses fled off from. And I think that's it for the Templars' actions. Like everyone who you're not directly engaged with, I'll just narrate at the end of the rounds, right? Like Ivano and how the rest of the battle is going. Yeah, I think that's everyone, right? Sorry, I'm just double checking. I think I'm right there. Yes. Okay. Okay. Right, Elindra, take your free attack on this Templar.
Cool. What's the modifier?
+5.
Okay, so anything but a 20. She's got a 10, so damage is going to be 15.
15. So minus the old The old that. That's that. Okay, you definitely went past their pain threshold. So do you want to knock them off their horse, or do you want to get another swing in?
I sort of feel bad kill stealing from Aaron, but also like let's.
Well, you won't because this is Steo's.
So it is, yeah. Well, that's fine.
That's fine then.
I think we want another attack, right? We just want to try and put as many of these people in the ground as we can.
Yeah, especially with it being a +5, that's almost guaranteed to hit.
That's a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Damage for this one is 14.
Okay, yeah. So your first, as you kind of bound over to where Steo is, their arm is kind of low, trying to like clatter against Steo's spear and kind of knock it down to the ground. And as you run over, the first swing of your blade severs their arm probably about here, just clean off. And as they sort of reel in the saddle, you jab up towards their visor and hear a shriek of pain as it like, you're not sure what it does in there. Like, you don't think it was a killing blow. You think what you did to their arm was the killing blow. But either way, they kind of like collapse back on their horse and like thrash around and half drop off while the horse panics and tries to dash away from the front line again. Yeah.
Elindra takes the opportunity to blow a kiss at Steo. in a coquettish manner.
All right,
we're not expecting this sudden bromance. Arendar.
Okay. I'm going to try and hit the one in front of me.
That's a +5.
Holding my left arm very carefully. That is definitely a hit. Is a 12, and I've got Revelia by my side, so that's another D4.
I don't think you do now. Revelia has her own.
Yeah, she has her own opponent. And weirdly, I'm almost thinking I should count the horses in the total number of opponents, because that's how you handle flanking. I don't know. I've decided that. I'm going to go run with it.
All right.
Yeah, we do have to move around them.
Yeah. It just makes you bigger. You know, the whole thing is bigger and thus harder to flank. I don't know. Also, they're above you. I don't know. That's my ruling. Take it or leave it. 7 damage was that?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, similar to last time, you kind of jab in to a gap in their legs. And again, you've drawn blood, but you're not sure how much blood. You know what I mean? Like, you're not sure, to be more precise, you're not sure how much damage you've caused. So, yeah. Steo, you now are clear. There are no Templars immediately fighting you. There are, there's a line of several Templars 20 feet ahead, but they're like 20 feet away and looking at various points to join the battle. There is a crush immediately to your left where the main core of Templars impacted on the front line, which was primarily the Mound Guard and the City Guard. That line is holding would be the most generous term. The Templars are killing people, quite a lot of people, but they're not breaking, and a few of the Templars have fallen off their horses. However, it's very notable that people who perhaps more are used to incredibly dangerous, violent encounters here are doing a lot better. You can probably see from where you are around the corner of the building you're back onto. You can see that there is you can see the wagon. You can probably see Inadar's like flag raised over it. You might not be aware that you might be able to intuit that Inadar is probably there and Desaber is probably there, but you can't see them. And you can see the biggest man you've ever seen with the biggest sword you've ever seen, like hammering his way relatively slowly sideways through the back line towards the wagon. But like actually getting to it is another matter, obviously. And further over to your right, you can see that there are like, who will be further over to the right? Probably the like the trade house guards, who are crumbling hard. And just in front of them is Arindar and Revelia fighting 2 Templars. Yes, and next to Islindra. So those are your choices. Sorry, that was elaborate.
I just wanted to check, can Steo see his least favorite person in the team, Anton?
Yeah. What? Yes, Anton
It's
is...
a historical bit!
Okay. Oh, is it from the canoe?
It is
From the canoe, like
It's
8
from the
years
canoe.
ago.
It's from the canoe. It was 8 years ago, you know? We've all aged 10 years since then. The Anton is wounded, but definitely alive, slumped over by a building. He hasn't gone up yet because it's not his turn yet to get up. So, yeah.
And he's facing down against someone, who I'm probably not going to have a chance to get to.
No. There's no one. He's between you and like Aaron and Revelia. He's currently unengaged, and he's probably going to be left alone by the Templars until the battle's over, unless he gets up. You know, like there's more important things to do than to stab a wounded priest.
So may I be a little cheeky and intuit from the situation without a roll that in this situation we should probably be collapsing the line back in towards the center based on the state of the center of the ranks?
Yeah, I mean, I it would be wrong of me to say, you know, your character has more knowledge of military matters as you, and as a player, you've said probably the correct thing. So yeah, no, that's absolutely fine. Yeah, yeah, you should probably be starting to attack the Templars' central flank. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to yell as a free action. I think I can yell basic things
you can.
3 steps right, and then I'm going to wheel on whoever is closest in that direction to start collapsing the line in.
I would say you'd want to say 3 steps left, because you're on the right flank.
If only there was a map we could show that doesn't get us demonetized.
All right, I'm going to draw a map right now. I'm going to draw a map right now that will not get us demonetized. Right? This is my challenge for the day. This is my
€5 says he does it again. €5 says it's a different kind of genitalia.
It's going to be even worse. It's going to be like 10 times worse. But there's nothing wrong with this one, surely, as it's just like a picture of the most heinous, I don't know, whatever.
I've got to say, I do just love the mental image of Stia having like a senior moment and just sidestepping out of the fight.
Right. Into the nearest pub.
Yeah.
I'm not touching because I've drawn a genitalia.
Advance pintwards.
Well, here come the giblets. Is everyone ready to observe this? So remember the old Art Attack music?
It'll be fine. Okay. Yeah, there's no genitalia to this, and I only made one mistake. So you'll just know that. Okay, here we go. Just stay with normal shapes, Matt. Just stay with normal shapes. I'm looking at it. There's nothing wrong with this. Okay? There's nothing wrong with that. That's just a battle map. Okay?
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that.
But it's pretty horny.
Well, on purpose.
You've redeemed yourself.
Okay. So here we go, right? Here we go. Ooh, wrong side. Oh god, now I've got to gesticulate with my left hand. Okay, this is the building that Askarai is on, right? That little star there is Askarai. This larger star is you, Steo, just because you're the people we're talking about. There's a bit of a gap in which there's Anton, and then over here is Aaron and Revelia. All the triangles are Templar forces, right? Attacking in. These are the 2 main lines of defense. This is Ivano Vriara. This is the wagon. And like this is the town's monster hunters. Okay. Do you remember I say they like no good, like charged front line? They're on the other flank. Yeah. Does that look right? It might be
Yep.
reversed. My brain can't handle whether it's no, it's not reversed. It's fine. Does that make sense? More sense.
Where are the
It
people
does.
who you said were doing especially badly?
Over here beyond.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have included them. Yeah.
Fair enough.
I
So-
think my my yell of 3 steps left is solid even after seeing that, and I
Yep,
will
no.
attempt to move to engage someone in that
So you're going to
area.
engage someone who's hammering in on that, like on the right of the central line. Okay, so you're voluntarily engaging another enforcer. I'm 100% fine with that. And you know what? You have a certain thing that you like to do when you engage with someone. So, and
Yay!
again, though, I'm not like they literally can't unengage with you, right? Because like they can't move to it. They're crushed in, right? Fighting. So you can't knock them out of engagement with you. But you can still get your
I
first
still get
attack.
2 attacks.
Yeah. You still
Yep.
get 2 attacks.
Let's go, and they are at
Plus
they
five.
are at -5 because they've
No,
scrambled
plus-
themselves. So
Well, +5, but yeah. The good one.
so that is a hit on the first one with 8 points of damage.
Okay.
And by
Well,
it's the
then.
same guy, but I'm yeah.
Yeah. Well, do your next attack, and I'll narrate them both.
That's 14, which is a hit in this situation, with 9 points of damage.
Okay. So yeah, the Templar that's on that right, kind of like they see you coming, but there's not a lot they can do about it, and they just kind of like basically concentrate on trying to hack down the city guard in front of them pretty successfully, while you just jab your spear just repeatedly into the side, and after a couple of rams, you feel it like slip and go in and up. They give a kind of like from behind the large helm they're wearing, you hear a kind of noise, and it comes out. The blood is running down to your hands on the spear, but they are still hacking away. But you've done some pretty significant damage to them. Okay, Father Anton, and last week I believe was it Askrai or no? It was John. You were handling him, right? Because you had the sheet. What's Anton going to do? I mean, it's fine to just say he's going to get up, because unlike you, he has to take an entire turn to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Or he
under
can roll
normal
with
rules,
him,
it's
yeah.
a quick roll to see if it's just a movement action. But I think last time we said because of the press, it was the whole move. But now the press has eased off a little bit.
It's eased off from him, so you can go ahead and make a quick roll for him. See if he can get up in
Right.
one turn.
Come on, Anton. Oh my
Mhm.
god, his quick is 7. And he rolled a 19. So
So he's going to spend the entire turn clambering to his feet. That's fine. Okay, time for NPCs. Earthons is going to, you know what? He's going to look around. He's definitely heard what you said, Steo. But he is actually going to start running over to where the trading house guards are collapsing over on the right, to try and shore that up, or maybe he'll like get involved with Aaron and Revelia on the way. You know what? He's probably literally going to run around the back of those Templars and try and do something about that collapsing line on the far right. As he does so, you hear him shout, and probably Alindra is the closest to hear him shout something like, "We can't let them flank us. The streets, the barricades will only hold for so long." So that's his thinking, and also writes him off a bit from me having to worry about him attacking your foes. And Ivano Viara, as I described him in the last thing, is literally stood up in his saddle, chopping left and right. And I am going to write a little. Let me. Sorry, Sam just wrote something amazing in our private chat. I'm just going to try and get a list of everyone involved. 1 second. Oh God, I've completely blanked. Is the city watch lieutenant called Ialna?
Sounds right to me.
The like sort of modern Sherlock type detective person.
I think I never
Can't
figured out
remember
how to spell her
the-
name, but that does sound right.
Let me. I'm normally good for having these written down, but yes, I think so.
Yes.
Oh,
I just found it in my notes as well.
And it's Captain Ialna. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the commander is Berlio.
Yeah. And then the colonel of the Mound Guard is called Morego. Yes, there's a few people. Okay. And there's that guy. Sorry, I'm trying to come up with which extra characters are involved here. I think I've run dry of them. No, not quite. Not quite. Let me just find one more. Should have done this before, really, shouldn't I? There we go. Okay. There we go. Right. We were talking about Vano Viara. And on that topic, can I please get a D6 roll from Chris, please?
Ooh. I rolled a 3.
A 3. Okay, then. This is something, you know what? I think, Steo, you will kind of half see this. Like, you'll see elements of it. So it's up to you how you perceive that. Askarai, you see the whole thing. And what you see is a dark blur kind of dropping down from the sky at high speed towards Ivano Viara. And as it drops, it kind of starts to blur and shift. Ivano Viara, with almost no wasted motion, like one hand leaves the hand grip of his huge sword, which carries on its swing that it was carrying out to an unfortunate mound guard underneath him, reaches up with his other huge gauntleted hand, and as the shape completes its shift, takes grip of it, and you see the witch Algaia dangling from one gauntlet in his hand. She strikes briefly at his the armored hand, the armored arm gripping onto her, and seems to kind of like reach out and begin an incantation, and then Iano Viara crushes her throat with one tight squeeze of his hand, and she collapses into the mess to the side of him. It would be a minor miracle if she were not dead instantly, you think? Like, literally, he had his hand around his neck, and his hand is now a fist, and then she dropped away. He didn't release her. Okay.
Seems bad.
Seems bad. He is definitely a few steps closer to the wagon containing the Duke and the Lightbringer. Okay, Askarai, what are you doing now? Would you like a rundown of your available targets? Like the relevant targets?
I think it's okay because if I can, I think I'm going to shoot at Viara.
That seems sensible.
just seems like Steo seems to become more concerned with the battle as a whole now. Asgard trusts Steo's judgment, and this is the best thing that Asgard can do to help the battle as a whole.
Absolutely. Okay. Are you using your armor penetration or a double shot?
I think Asgard at this point might give up on armor penetration. He's tried to do it. It seems like for whatever reason the Templars are not having it, and I think Asgard's going to have recognized that and go with something else.
I should note as well that Ivana Viara is covered with the glimmering light that you associate with when Anton casts a blessed shield on you.
Okay.
So there's that as well to deal with. But yeah.
It's going to be tough.
Although I always think I think we've done it in various things in various ways. I definitely almost always lean to like this ignores armor to not include things like blessed shield, but regardless.
Yeah. But until Asgard is gonna shoot at Viara. He's gonna do 2 shots. He's gonna use Hunter's Instinct to give him another try and an extra D4 damage. Okay, yeah.
It's worth noting Ivano Viara is berserk, but he is a master at it, so he does not suffer the defense penalty. So it's a -4 to hit him.
Okay. I need a 12 or lower, but I do have 2 chances. Okay, that's a 10 on the second try. So it just about makes it.
And this is an armor ignoring, right?
This is not ignoring armor. This is a normal armor.
It's just a normal your first normal double shot.
Yeah, but I get another try. That's 13 damage.
Okay, that gets through. So that's your first shot, right?
Yes.
Let's try your second shot, and then I'll narrate it.
Okay.
Just in case you one shot him with your second one.
Okay, the first one was a 20, but the second one was an 8.
Okay, that's better.
Yeah. And then the damage is... It's not going to be as good. Damage is 9.
Okay. So your first arrow finds purchase in his arm and kind of sticks itself. It looks like it's kind of in his elbow. It's kind of wedged between 2 plates, and you're fairly sure with the length of the shaft that you can see that it has gone into him. He doesn't seem to be noticing it in any way, shape, or form, but you feel like you put an arrow in him. The second one crumples on his armor.
Okay. This is going to be tough.
I liked the facial expression Stephen just made with the most basic of mental arithmetic at that point. Yeah. Okay. And those are your 2 shots. You haven't got any extra actions. Saying something or calling out something is free. Is there anything like that you want to do?
There's other archers on the roof, aren't there? I might kind of try and direct them to fire more towards the center to focus their fire that way.
Yeah. But sure. Give me that. Give me what you shout.
Okay. I will just say fire at the center. Fire at Viara.
Okay, there's a couple of... There aren't too many archers in this force, but there's more of the people on here are Order Magica and mages with you. But the couple of archers there are the trading house archers. And they're already kind of pale-faced, seeing what's happened to their colleagues down on the ground. But they kind of like gawp at you for a second and then turn and start firing. Their arrows are just... but... They might get lucky, and it's better than not.
Might hit a horse or 2.
Yeah, the other the Order Magica mage who kind of nodded to you when she clambered onto the top of the roof kind of takes up position behind you, and you see her kind of like sort of twisting at the air and making odd gesticulations, and the immediate area you're standing in is getting warmer. So hopefully something is going to come of that. Elindra, you are currently engaged with no one. You've got the whole scuffle over to your right, where Revelia and Aaron are, and where Earthons has run off to, and Steo has just charged into the sideline of the that central melee.
Does it seem likely that Revelia and Aaron will have heard Steo's call to move left?
Well, let's see if they have first, right? Aaron and Revelia make vigilant rolls, please. And I'm going to say probably I'll only say a -1, because although I would apply more penalty, thinking about it, normally I wouldn't have asked them to roll vigilant at all. So the test is in itself a penalty. But I think a -1 suits me about right.
Revelia passes. Just.
Okay.
I thought I had passed, but I just can't read, so I fail.
Okay. Well, you can see, you don't know if Arendar heard it, but you can see Revelia kind of like glancing over to Steo. So she's definitely heard it, but she's also engaged with a fully unhurt Templar on horseback. So, and I was like, oh yeah, there's a dismounted Templar between you and them now as well, isn't there? Who's probably eyeing up Anton now he's back on his feet.
That guy. I'm going to hit that guy.
That guy. That sounds about right. We'll take your free attack at a +5 first, then, please.
Cool. That is a hit. Damage is 12.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Will we go again?
No, that's not a pain threshold, unfortunately.
No, but like with a normal attack.
Oh, right, yeah. Did you say the damage was 12?
Yes.
Yeah, go again with the normal attack.
Okay, that is another hit. Damage. Oh, boy. 16.
Okay. Yeah, that Templar kind of dismounts, kind of slaps his horse's side to make them flee off, and takes a couple of steps towards the kind of rising Anton, who sort of like braces himself against the wall and kind of like thrusts out with his flail. The Templar doesn't see you coming, and your first slice carves open kind of the back of their neck, and as they kind of reel forward and start to turn for you, you thrust out with your second strike and pierce them through their neck up into their jaw, and they kind of like, they sort of swing for you weakly, and like you feel their sword kind of like just clatter against your side, and then they slide back down into the churned dirt and go still. Kind of, I mean, technically a 2 hit kill, but kind of a 1-hit kill, 1-turn kill there. Not too bad.
Yeah, happy with that.
Okay. As for Revelia, I'm assuming she's going to hit a Templar, or try to.
Yeah, I guess we established that she heard the general plan to move to the left, and I think that's what they both want to do. But obviously, there are more pressing immediate matters. So yes, Revelia is going to try and hit the Templar in front of her.
That's a +5.
That's a hit, and she has her sword, which is going to do 9.
Oh, not bad. Yeah, obviously not a pain threshold moment, but yeah, she lashes out, and this Templar's armor seems to be kind of patched and worn, sort of the plate equivalent of crow armor, and she kind of hacks into their thigh, and they give a kind of like bellow and lash back out, which makes her retreat again. But yeah, not too bad, all told. Okay, what have we got next? Well, the Fallen Templars. So there we go. Okay, let's go one by one for everyone who is facing one. Steo, can you roll defense for me, please, at a -5?
I sure hope so, but it's not likely. Yeah, that's a 14. I wonder, do I re-roll? I think I'm going to spend the XP and try and reroll. I really
Okay.
would like to not die in one hit to their buffed attacks. -5 plus 9 is still not good enough.
Okay, I'm going to need that armor roll from you then, please. You're on mute, I think, friend.
Yeah, the armor's D10. And that is a grand total of 2. It's been a pleasure.
Total of 2. What is your pain threshold?
Not huge. Pain threshold is 7, actually.
Okay. Well, they're over that. So I'm just double checking the pain threshold. I think I'm right in saying, aren't I, that pain threshold is always the player's choice.
Yes.
Yeah. Seems unfair to me. But that's fine. So it's going over your pain threshold, Theo. Do you want to get knocked down or do you want to take another attack? I mean, I have to imagine it's getting knocked down.
Oh, but I could roll a new character.
Don't.
Okay,
Kill him
I'll
on
get knocked down.
purpose. If you kill him on purpose, I'll kill your next one. On purpose.
But that's how roleplay works, man. Anyway, yeah, I'll take the knockdown.
Okay. Well, you're taking 10 toughness.
Yowch. Oh, hang on, that's
basically-
me below 0.
Is it? Well, then you might get your wish. So, Steo, you're lashing out, kind of thrusting out with your spear, and the Templar basically kind of like, as you kind of are trying to knock them sideways so they can't kill any more of the city guard in front of you. With their free arm, they just catch your spear and drag you forwards at the same time, thrusting down, and you feel a sharp, awful pain into your chest. And the world kind of like spins around you. You don't perceive falling down, but now you are on the ground, hooves slamming into the earth next to you. Your legs don't seem to work. Yeah. So you're on the old death rolls next turn, unless someone can get to you with a bit of healing. And that's the first hit from a Fallen Templar. Let's go with Arendar, shall we, for the next one, please. So defense at -5, please.
Oh no.
I mean, they've always been -5.
I know. Nope, I rolled exactly the same as last time.
Okay. Are we doing any I mean, just because Steo, you saw what happened to Steo and he re-rolled. So, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll re-roll.
Okay.
Oh, rolled a 2.
Okay. There we go. Which means you get an attack back, right?
Yes, because I get a riposte.
Yeah. So attack back at +5.
Cool. So, also a 2. Definitely a hit.
Okay. Give me your damage roll, please.
$11.
Oh, that's a bit better. That is a bit better. So the Templar is almost kind of like leant completely over to try and hack away at your defense, like maybe, you know, happy that you with the previous wound they delivered, perhaps they underestimate your resilience. And this time, after they slash a bit too far, you lean round to the side and thrust up into the side of their neck. You think at first it's a killing blow, and then you withdraw your blade and see that there's blood on it, but a remarkably little amount of blood coming out from the armor where you've struck. So basically, you've missed everything vital, but you've still put your sword through their neck. So that's pretty bad. And they're kind of like, their other hand is now kind of like clawing at the side and kind of like pressing on maybe where they can feel blood coming out. But, you know, they're definitely not dead. But you've dealt them a pretty pretty rough wound. Yeah. So, Revelia. Can we have a defense roll for Revelia at -5, please?
We can try. Let's see, defense is 15, so she's going to need a 10 or less. That's a 5.
Okay. That strike hammers into Revelia's shield, and she manages to hold her ground. Aaron, it's your turn again right now. We're going to try and press our advantage on this neck-wounded Templar. It is a word. It's not a word.
I'm just trying to think.
Is now.
Because Steo's down.
Mm-hmm.
Antom's up but wounded. I didn't hear the order to...
You probably can't even perceive this. You've got Revelia and a mounted Templar between you and everything else.
Yeah, and I failed the roll to hear the order.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to hit this guy because
that's a +5.
I don't know anything else. That is a pass. It's not a good pass, but it's a pass. And then...
Pass is all we need.
3.
Okay. Your return strike on them, you try and go in for the kill, but they're far too savvy for that, and they rear back up, almost kind of like leaning back off their horse as they do so, and your like thrust doesn't go far enough. You don't do anything but clatter on the side of their armored legs. Soz. Any movement action? Probably not.
Is it just Revelia next to me at the moment?
Revelia to that side, and a few steps to your right, the very last remnants of the trading house guards are collapsing.
Then no, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think there'll be any advantage in disengaging.
Sure. Theo, and I will say, I definitely want you to hold it up against the screen, because I'm not having you cheating and intentionally losing the death roll.
I yearn for death!
You got to make your first
This isn't
death
about
roll.
you,
buddy.
Chris.
It's about the fandom.
Okay. Remind me how this works. Remind everyone how
D20.
this works.
Okay, yeah, that's
D20.
fair. So it's a D20, and you roll every turn on your turn when you're at 0 toughness until you are stabilized with medical attention. If you roll a 1, you recover and get up with 1d4 toughness and can act next round. 2 to 10, there's no effect. 11 to 19, you make a mark, and if you have 3 marks, you die. 20,
So far.
Theo's all over immediately.
It's all over. You said on my turn. It's not my turn for a while yet. Do we want to do this on my turn?
It's your turn right now.
Is it? Oh, wow. That was a quick turn.
Yeah, that was Aaron
okay.
turn just there.
Oh.
Oh.
1 check.
Yeah, make a mark. For the perception of everyone nearby, Elindra primarily, and probably Antom as well, Steel looks really bad. He is pale and getting paler on the floor. Yeah, pretty bad stuff. But now there is actually nothing between Antom and him, and it's Antom's turn. So I think Steel might not be about to get his wish. But it's up to John. John is playing Antom at the moment, so
as long as I stop accidentally closing Antom's character sheet for no reason,
yeah, it would help.
then
That would help.
he might survive.
It's a sign. It's a sign, John.
So I think there's 3 options for if you wanted to provide medical attention. One is like the way to do a guaranteed not die is just to use a herbal cure without making cunning roll. Although, you know what? I am actually going to judge. I am going to make a house rules judgment right now, folks, and this will stand at every point in the future. If you have a herbal cure, you're using it with a cunning roll, and you fail the cunning roll, you still get the 1 toughness for the herbal cure. Because it seems real dumb that would not be the case, right?
Yeah.
I think. Okay.
Surely a trained person using it badly can't be worse than an untrained person.
Exactly. So there we go. I'll make that judgment. So because basically, honestly, it's partly to avoid the, well, I'm not going to make the roll because I get a guaranteed. You know what I mean? So like, it gives you a reason to make the roll, even if, yeah, because either way, you can immediately take people off the death rolls by applying a herbal cure. So it makes no sense to not try and make the roll. You know what I mean? So you got two options. You can either cunning with a herbal cure, which I assume he has. I definitely believe he would have. Or he could be a bit riskier and lay on hands, but he'd have to make the roll for that, right? He's got lay on hands, right?
He does.
Yeah.
We also have the Water for the Dusk.
Sorry, what did you say?
Do we still have any?
Yeah, according to his sheet, we've still got 4 uses left.
Yeah. We've still got some uses of the. Yeah, there's the Water of the Dusk as well. Yeah.
That stuff is shelf stable.
I did not realize we still had some of that kicking about.
We do.
I think I will go for the Lay on Hands and the Resolute because it's a higher roll.
But it's not a guaranteed res, you know that?
That's true.
Using a herbal cure with the cunning is it guarantees that Chris has to make.
Yeah.
The roll.
Okay. Triage. We're going to use the herbal
Chris
cure.
seems to be celebrating tells you everything you need to know about whether.
But honestly, like I know Steve, we're playing it for last, but honestly, do what you think Anton would do.
We're going to do a Medicus.
Okay, so make that cunning roll, please.
Success.
Okay, and what does he get with a herbal cure?
He gets a D6, and I think normally the patient rolls it, but I think considering Chris's antagonism, I think I should roll it.
Sure. So he just gets a D6 with a herbal cure, so he would get a D4 otherwise. Is that right?
Yes.
Is that
He's only got novice.
He's only got novice. Okay. Yeah.
According to this sheet.
No. Well, we believe the sheet. We believe the sheet.
5. Take that, Chris.
Take that.
God,
5 tokens back.
Get healed, noob.
So Anton obviously, like, Mike's not here for me to narrate stuff to Anton, but Anton essentially discovers that a great deal of like Steo's collapse to the ground. Like, basically Steo has probably concussed himself. The blood is flowing copiously from like the wound on his breast, but like it doesn't seem to have pierced a lung or his heart immediately. He's lost a lot of blood and he's very woozy, but Steo, the world kind of resolves itself back mainly into the shape of Anton's concerned face. But you feel capable of, things like movement and doing things again. Yeah.
Pints.
Okay. So NPCs again. Earthons is no one can see Earthons. He's off. He's doing his own thing. However, Askarai and I'm going to say Arindar become aware of a battle cry erupting on the right hand side beyond where the last few trading house guards are dying. That you hear a battle cry, and I would imagine that Askarai sees glimpses of a number of individuals charging into the sides of the Templars over the barricades and from that street. You can't see clearly enough to see who there are other than glimpses of blue and purple. And if anyone's been paying fucking attention, they will know who that is. That's all I'm saying. None of you.
This whole town guard.
That's why I haven't been paying attention.
You know what? You can roll cunning, Askarai, if you want, and I'll give you the info if you pass.
Okay, I'll do my best. That's an 18.
Yeah, fuck you then. So, as for Ielno Viara, am I saying his fucking Avano Viara? I'm getting all sorts of confused. Avaro Viana. There's lots of E names in this in general. Well, at least all I'm saying about chat is at least Rana Dandra was paying attention. Okay, let's have a D5 roll, please. From John.
D5, you say?
D5, I say.
To shreds, you say? 3.
3. Okay. As you, Askarai, Ivano Viara's horse is making its way further forwards. You think with an amount of time that can only be described in Askarai's head as one more round of progress that he will make it to the wagon. That doesn't mean, instantly everyone dies. He's still going to fight people there, but yeah. As his horse kind of bullies its way forward, he's still laying around him. You see him kind of like lean over to one side and kind of like try and like batter away a blade that's been like thrashing his side for a minute or so now, and he kind of reaches down, like you see his sword kind of sink into the mass around him as others kind of like desperately clang at his armor, and he draws himself back up and kind of like throws someone to the ground who like collapses out of the back of the line and rolls away, like kind of crawls forward a few paces before collapsing on the ground. It takes a moment for you to recognize them, but then from her very long dark hair, you see the prone, still form of Captain Yalna. Crossing out names on a list. Beginning of the next round, Askarai.
In terms of actual distance, how far is there from Yal? No, what's his name?
Ivano. Just call him Viara.
Viara from the wagon.
10 feet.
I was thinking of shooting his horse, but I feel like that is still not really going to slow him down. Like
his horse is draped in the same armor he has.
Okay.
Like I say, it's the biggest horse you've ever seen. What was I going to say? Can I add another NPC detail before you do it? You now, because you're paying attention to the wagon, let's describe what's happening in there, shall we? You can see the Duke kind of like quite pale faced, and you've had no indication that he's a particularly fine swordsman, but he has drawn kind of a blade which looks both very kind of rich and inlaid, but also very well made, right? It's very decorative, but it also looks very functional as well. You see him takes the banner from his kind of young, maybe 14 or 15-year-old squire, and you see him like bark something at them, and they kind of almost try and hold onto the banner and shake their head, and he shouts something at them louder, and they kind of nod and jump out of the back of the wagon and flee off into Barbarian Town. So now it's just the Duke kind of holding the banner and kind of readying his sword. He knows what to do with it, clearly, but you've seen no indication that he would stand a chance against the leader of the Knights of Dead Prios. There are a couple of other kind of caravan guards, almost all of them really, like both around the wagon, and a couple of others of them in the wagon, a couple of them with spears kind of like ready for when Ivano makes it more towards the wagon. And then at the center of it, with Fenring next to her, is DeSaber. She's sat on a stool in the center of the wagon. Her eyes appear to be closed, and she seems to be meditatively muttering something under her breath. Askarai, what are you doing? I mean, probably shooting Ivana Viara, I imagine, but...
Yeah. I'm going to take 2 more shots. I don't know if 2 shots is better than armor piercing. I have no idea.
I think they probably are, because like if you take 1 shot and then he makes his roll, and I'll tell you right now, his roll is all right. Then you've just
plus the blessed shield,
plus the blessed shield, which I probably would judge is not going to be affected by it. I think 2 shots is better.
Okay, I'm going to take 2 more shots. Well, yeah, I'm going to take 2 more shots then. Okay, that's a 7 to hit.
And yeah, it's a -4 his defense.
Okay.
So
That's like 8 damage, so not great.
That ammo is like torn apart by his blessed shield, and the remains of it crumple on his armor.
Okay, I rolled a 9 to hit on the second try. That is 10 damage on the second try.
That is exactly enough damage to not affect him. Another destroyed arrow. Are you going to say or do anything with your next thing? Here's something I'll say. If the Templar on the edge of the one Steo was attacking, if they're brought down, people can move round the edge of the melee and potentially provide more defense at the wagon.
Astro will call out, we need to get back to the wagon, as loudly as he can call out in the fight.
Elindra's not currently fighting anyone. Anyone who's currently actually fighting someone, so I think that's just Aaron and Revelia, can they roll vigilant, please? I'm not going to give you a penalty because Askarai's up high and his voice can carry better. That's how it works. Vertical sounds are loud. Okay, so Revelia doesn't hear, but Arendar does. None of these in a position to do too much about it, but still. Okay. Elindra, Steo is probably about to get back up, but
yeah, nobody seems to be dying immediately. Revelia had appeared to have heard Steo's call to move left, so Elindra figures that that's what Revelia is going to do. Elindra is going to. Well, okay, what is?
You've now heard Askarai as well, calling out to get to the wagon.
So what is the space between me and the wagon look like?
It has, there's Steo on the ground, Anton kneeling over him. There is the Templar who put Steo on the ground there. And you're fairly sure that if you down them, I'll let you engage with them without a movement action because I'm nice like that. If you down them, you can, with your movement action, get to the wagon to provide some extra.
Then
defense.
Let's attempt that.
Okay.
So he's +5 to hit, is he?
Yes.
That is definitely a hit. Damage. Oh boy. 16, 20. That is damn near the maximum it's possible for me to do.
Okay. You bound over the prone form of Steo and impale the Templar with your sword through their side, cleaving through the straps and gaps in the side that hold their breastplate to their back. You literally impale them on the side of your blade and heave them off the horse, where they go crashing down to the ground, narrowly missing Steo and Anton, it has to be said. Their horse immediately bucks and turns. You can see the couple of mound guards that they were facing immediately turn round and start running themselves back to. It's not, running. It's only maybe 12 feet behind them, but they start moving back towards the wagon. Are you doing the same with your movement?
Yeah, in towards the wagon. Okay. As we said right at the top of the session, if there's a way that Elindra's going to die, it's defending the people on that wagon. So absolutely.
Okay. And we'll deal more with what happens when we get to the NPCs at the end. In the meantime, it's some Templar attacks, specifically 2 of them.
We have a Revelia.
Yes, we have a Revelia and an Aaron. Let's go with Aaron first.
No, Revelia has a turn.
Oh, sorry. Revelia does have a turn. Yeah. Okay. So, I'm assuming she's making an attack at +5 then.
Yeah. Who's in front of her just now? Anyone?
Just a Templar.
A Templar. Okay. Yeah. Then yes, she will attack that Templar.
I shouldn't call them Templars anymore, I suppose. A Knight of Dead Prios.
Knight of Dead Prios. Yeah, she hits. She's going to do D10 damage, but that's only 3 in this instance.
Okay. Unfortunately, her sword just clatters on their plate and doesn't achieve very much at all. Okay, now it's the Templar's turn. And while we're talking about Revelia, why don't we have a roll a defense roll at -5, please?
Let's do that. That is a fail, and I think I'm going to have Revelia spend an XP to
That might be a good idea.
take a hit if she can avoid it. Yeah, that's a pass. That's a 6.
Okay, that's probably good
Mhm.
because I'm guessing Revelia's toughness pool is not huge.
It's not bad, but it's not Elindra's.
Yeah. No one's is Lindra's. Well, maybe Ivana Vriara's. Okay, Aaron Dar. Speaking of other people who could get killed here, make a defense roll at -5, please. This one's an XP burner, isn't it?
That one, I'm going to spend another XP.
Did you roll a 20?
I rolled a 19.
Okay.
It was close.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 13, which is still a fail.
Okay. Could you make an armor roll for me, please?
Yeah. Nine.
Oh, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. I didn't know you had armor that good.
I have a D8 plus 1. I rolled my max.
Nice, nice. So you rolled a 9, yeah? Okay.
Yes.
The Templar reaches down and kind of with a wide sweep that you briefly think about trying to kind of block with your blades, and then realize that would probably break your blades. And you kind of step back, but not quite fast enough. And what was your actual arm? Was it like lamellar?
Yes.
Yeah. The Templar's strike kind of breaks through the top layer of lamellar and just leaves you with, it hurts like hell, but it doesn't feel like it's gone too deep. Has basically like flayed a like line across your chest from like, has completely just gone through, but only for 3 toughness.
Oh. But they have ruined my granddad's armor.
How much toughness you got left?
7.
7. Okay, not too bad.
This is where Aaron reveals that he's capable of going berserk too.
Nah. But Aaron, it is your turn. So see, that would have been fun if you'd been down there, you'd have had an immediate death roll. How fun is that? But you weren't, so you know. Make an attack, I'm guessing, at +5. Unless you want to get away somehow. Hello?
Yeah, if I get away,
Mm-hmm.
can I get to the wagon in this turn?
No.
Okay.
It's too far.
Then I will make an attack, and then I will get away.
And then hopefully there's still Revelia and a Templar between you. But we'll talk about that when the time comes.
That is an attack. With... Come on. 8 damage.
8 damage. Okay. And they do that. And okay. Well, you're not going to be happy because again, you kind of poke holes. You filled this Templar full of small wounds now, and they're definitely like swaying slightly on their steed, but they're still punching down that blade and swinging and hacking at you with as much energy as they had when they first charged in. You think they're on their last legs, but you definitely wouldn't know it from the fervor with which they're still attacking you. But they are still up.
And then I'm going to make a quick roll to try and slip past them.
Okay, this is your acrobatics, right?
Yes.
Okay. It's not opposed, is it? It's just a natural quick
Just a
roll.
quick test. Roll against quick. Yep, that is a success.
Okay, and I assume you're going to try and run behind like that the kind of front Templar line. It's a strong word for 2 Templars. But kind of go around the rear of them and run towards where the wagon is, presumably abandoning Revelia to fight 2 Templars on her own.
That's a good point.
I'm just providing you with all the information. Should we take Steo's turn?
Yeah.
And come back. I'm happy to take Steo's turn, and then you can decide. Does it help if I tell you that your movement will not take you to the wagon? You're 2
Can
moves
I,
from the wagon.
instead of fully disengaging,
Mhm.
use this as an opportunity to rearrange myself so that our 2 melees are combined?
Together.
Yeah.
Yes, although it won't help you in terms of flanking. But it could help
But
you in
it'll
terms
help
of your
my
thing.
acrobatics.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you can like back away and then move around, and the melees all kind of like come together. So it's the 2 of you against the 2 of them. Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Cool.
sounds like a fun opportunity to use your ability. Yes.
Cool. Yeah. That's fine.
Steo, if you want to get to your feet, you can roll quick. And if you roll quick, then you'll get it up in 1 action. And if you fail, then you will have to take your entire turn to get back to your feet.
Okay, well, that's the ultimatum. My quick is 10, but really it's 9 because elderly.
It's elderly, yeah.
Oh, well, that's kind of a 9.
It's a form of 9, certainly. Okay, yeah.
I'm going to have a little nap.
Yeah, you slowly clamber up to your feet, Anton trying to help you, but it's just not easy to get up anymore. Anton, John, what's Anton doing? I mean, I can imagine that Anton would rush to the wagon. But
Yeah, he's going to go for Tsava.
okay.
He could do a quick lay on hands before he goes to the wagon, though.
He absolutely could. Why don't you give us that cunning, no, resolute roll rather, not cunning.
15. He rolled an 11.
Okay, and how many
That's
points of toughness does that give Steo? Also a d6. Okay. And I don't think Anton takes corruption from it's like novice level Theurg abilities or something, or just Theurg abilities. I can't remember what it is. Either way, he's
only
barely
1
used.
temporary corruption.
Okay.
That's a 3.
Okay, so Steo, as before Anton rushes off, you feel a warmth run through you from Anton's hands, and he mutters his apologies that he needs to get to the Lightbringer before he dashes off towards the wagon. Okay, NPC's turn, but we're going to do some interesting things here. So, heading over towards the wagon, we have Elindra, we have Anton. I think that's it. I don't want to put Anton into a position where we kill Mike's character where Mike hasn't made the choice for that. You know what I mean? So I'm going to say that Anton is more kind of like at the back of the wagon, preparing himself to like heal someone. You know, he's not going to get too directly involved, because depending on how directly involved someone gets, they could die real easy. And I don't want to like do that to him when he's not here. So with that in mind, a number of individuals are arraying themselves up against the progress of Ivano Viara. Some of them you recognize, some of them you don't, Elindra. You've got a choice to make here. Are you trying to prevent Ivano Viara from moving forward? I.e., are you about to engage him? Which I'll let you do right now. Or are you adopting a more defending Desaber or the Duke position, right? Are you getting into the wagon to try and fend him off when he arrives? Or are you joining the group of people who are trying to like prevent him arriving in the first place? You've got there are 2 choices there. Obviously, the first one, obviously the one where you directly engage him, it may prevent others in that group from dying, but you will also be putting yourself very much in harm's way.
I think Elindra's realised there's nothing safe about this situation, and will probably work on the assumption that the best form of defense is attack. I think if there's other people engaging Viara, she will go and try to assist them.
Fair enough.
Because it's like it's either we fight him over there or we fight him much closer to the place we're trying to stop him getting to.
Absolutely. Okay. With that in mind, then, I'm happy for you to get a. Ooh, what's the thing that he does? I'm sorry, I just want to check something. Before I... Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Do you want to take your free attack on him then? I'm happy for that, for you to like bundle it. He is like only a few feet away from the wagon now, and there are a group of people in between him and them, but you are, if you stand among them.
So we're doing free attack at the point of engagement on the NPC's bit of this turn.
Yes.
So, cool. Okay.
He will apply a -4 to your attack.
That is fine. She hits comfortably. So damage. 12.
Okay. You kind of like come to join the others. You feel on one side of you. You have, in fact, let's that would be from there. That doesn't make sense. Those three make sense. So on one side of you, on like the left of you, Colonel Morego, the head of the city guard, is kind of like desperately again trying to lay at his horse, lay at him. On the other side of you is do we remember the guard who had stabbed someone and got recruited in the frontier logging town? On the other side is him, kind of like grim-faced, not looking like he has any fear at all, trying to fight against Ivano Viara. You jab through with your blade, and you feel it. You feel what you didn't want to feel, which was a scraping as your blade like runs across his armor. You feel a bump, and you thrust, and you are like then buffeted back immediately by his horse. There is blood, fresh blood on the end of your blade. Nowhere near enough. Nowhere near enough. For your liking, anyway. Okay. Now, here's what I've done. I have said, so there's people all around him, right? So who's to say who he strikes at? I have a number of characters here who were kind of involved with it. I have randomly generated, I've said 3 of them are ahead of him, right? One of them's you, and the other 2 are Morego and that guard, okay? I was going to say, if you hit him and get through his armor, chances are weighted that he will strike back at you. That makes sense to me. If not, then it would be evens, right? So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to roll a d10. 1 to 5, it's Morego he strikes at. 6 to 10, it's the the redemption arc guard. And 11 to 20, it's Alindra. We have a result of 18. Roll defense, please, at a -5. You might just make the defense roll,
We might. So, and if we don't, I have blessed shield on, right? But that's for armor. Okay, so defense is 13, so -5. I need an 8. I rolled a 6.
Okay. His sword comes crashing down on you. You desperately raise your blade to defend against it, and you are driven to your knees. You've never felt a blow like this. You almost kind of topple backwards into the churned mud under your feet. But his strike does not make contact with you properly.
So, Adept level 200 finesse says once a turn after a successful defense, it's a strong modified by strong roll to try and push the enemy out of melee combat and to do 1d6 damage.
I will say that you can make the roll, but you won't get the push. It's a huge man on a huge horse in a crush. But you'll get the 1d6 damage.
I'll take the roll for the opportunity to do d6. What's the modifier?
The modifier will be at -5.
Cool.
Kind of 1d6.
Oh, actually, it might
Tim?
be. Sorry, it might be more than that. Oh shit! Sorry. I thought, he's got max strong. It's 15. It's 18.
Okay.
What was your defense?
What was my defense?
You rolled an 8, right?
No, he rolled a 6 and the
I
target
rolled
was
a
8, so it's all good.
I rolled a
Okay.
6.
So I was going to say your defense should have been at -8.
Okay.
But
Wow.
John's done the
but
maths. It's
also
fine.
few.
Yes. So anyway, your strong roll here is at -8.
-8. So I need a 7 and I got a 5. So it's D6 damage.
I mean, yeah, roll a d6 if you want.
It's a 3.
Yeah. Unsurprisingly, that's not getting past his armor. So.
It's just literally adding insult to injury.
Yeah, sure. But still, you know what I'll say for that? I'll say you rise to your feet with his blade still weighing on yours and like shove it back. And you hear a kind of a grunt of recognition from him.
Fuck yeah.
Okay. There we go. All right. We've reached the climactic moment of the battle here, folks. And we're going to go to Matt's indulgent narrative bit, which will have moments in it for you guys to like jump in, right? And interact to certain degrees. So, Ivana Viara, with kind of like a cry of pure rage, urges his kind of rakes the sides of his horse. He's got like, there are gaps on the side that are armless, and he rakes the sides of his horse bloody to urge it forward even more. And ultimately, even the three of you cannot really do anything against the bulk that just impacts on you. Maybe, you know what I'll say based on your roll, Elindra, that you're not knocked to the ground, but you are knocked aside. You're left like sprawling in a couple of mound guard over towards the front lines. Morego and the other guards are knocked to the ground, and like Morego is like down under the wagon, kind of like clawing at the mud to get back to his feet. There is now nothing between Ivano and the wagon. And this means that Fenring leaps forward with a cry, swinging down from a high position in a glittering arc that Ivano Viara catches with the guard of his colossal sword, heaving the former Templar back as he was nothing but a child. The blade weaves around and Fenring drops to the churned soil, clutching at the weeping stump that remains of his arm near the shoulder. I am going to give, after each segment of this, I'm going to give everyone, you know, when I give you kind of like little actions, so you can't make an attack, at least not yet. You can't like, you know, do a big move or whatever, but you can like say what you're doing in the moment. We remember this kind of thing, right? Okay, let's go round each of you one by one, and we'll keep this order each time because we're going to do it a couple of times. Elindra, you are sprawled, like basically a couple of mound guard are kind of like holding up your weight as you're like reeling backwards. Little action, what are you doing?
So I don't know if there is such a thing, and if there is, I don't know as Stephen, I don't know the words, but I assume that there may be some kind of prayer to Prios for strength in battle, which I will loudly begin to recite at this point.
Yeah, I think there'll be like a standard Templar, like Sun Knight incantation of Prios as the war god, right?
Yeah,
Prios
as the actually alive war god that's going to help us and fuck you guys.
Yeah. So kind of saying the first words of that as you desperately try to like get yourself back to your feet. Okay, Steo, you are still only just gotten back to your feet, probably slightly disoriented and looking around. Is there anything in particular that you are doing?
Very disoriented. Will take a few steps towards the thing, commenting that, God, the Salons is rancid tonight.
Just almost completely out of it. Sure.
Yeah.
Askarai, how about yourself? I mean, I can imagine like knocking another arrow to your bow desperately.
Yeah, I think Askarai is very desperate at this point. He's just scrambling for another arrow and praying.
Yeah. To your right, the Ordo Mage finally completes her incantation, and a gout of flame bursts over the top of the wagon, over Ivano Viara, and then peels back off him. Other than a faint, like, scent of scorched meat, nothing has changed. You don't think he even felt it. Arendar.
I think
I mean, you're fighting, I
off,
guess, but yeah.
off in our own little pocket of the two Templars and me, Revelia, there's like a cinematic moment of Aaron and Revelia standing back to back, flanked by two Templars, and Aaron just sort of half turns his head and says, "On my signal, jump to the left."
Okay. Wonderful. Viara rounds on the cart holding the Lightbringer, her remaining guards clearly afraid, but standing ready with the sparkling light of Prios surrounding them. In a voice that tells of countless days and nights spent bellowing orders and wailing in despairing repentance, the towering armor-clad knight growls as he levels the sword out towards Desaber. I care not if you were once favored by Prios Crone. His blessings died along with him, and priests such as you did nothing to save him. Your inaction doomed us all, and now that doom is upon you. You will burn in the fires of vengeance like the rest of them. He starts to inexorably spur his mount forward, readying his steel for the slaughter. Again, small actions, Elindra. I know he's had a monologue. We're doing cinematic. Go on.
I don't know. I think she's gonna just continue this prayer, like
trying to move. If you want to like start to move towards him, that's absolutely fine.
Yeah, like if she can reinsert herself.
Yeah, you can try and get yourself up to your feet and like start moving forward. You know, he's a few feet away from you by now, but start to try and strike him.
Yeah, I think primarily until she can make contact, she's just trying to kind of exert by sheer force of kind of will and faith and.
Yeah, no, absolutely. How about Steo?
Steo maybe gaining a few more scruples will kind of break into a desperate run and shoulder the spear and kind of voicelessly cry, "Oh, Prios's teats."
Excellent. It would be a shame if Steo hadn't said that in this battle scene. So I'm glad we've got that bingo box checked. Ascarai, you can do things like say we're not going to roll to attack, but like if you think you can release an arrow, I will tell you what happens.
I mean, Ascarai is going to be shooting as he can. I think at this point, I mean, whenever he next gets the opportunity to attack, it will be armor piercing because he feels like he needs a miracle shot. I think at this, he's probably just focused and trying his best to find the perfect moment for a clear shot to give himself the best chance. Like thinks he has one arrow before the saber is going to be annihilated, and is waiting for the perfect moment. For the where it seems like there's some kind of gap in the armor or some kind of clear line.
Absolutely. Aaron Dar, do you mind if I narrate your bit?
Go ahead.
Okay. The two Templars ready their blades and strike down towards you two almost as one. You and Revelia at the moment of impact, coordinated move to your left. You lift up with your blade and tilt the angled sword of the Templar you were fighting. It slides along your blade and off to the left, where it embeds itself in the neck of the other Templar. Like the Templar you were fighting looks extremely confused and maddened and wrenches it out of his colleague's throat, who's kind of like collapsed back on his horse, clutching at the blood flowing from the rent around their neck. That the kind of thing you were after? You were thinking with the
Yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Desaber the Old lifts herself up from her meditation with an audible grunt of pain and does not stop rising when her stick falls from her hand and her feet leave the wooden boards of the cart. She gently glides into the air a few feet overhead, sundogs and radiant bloom coalescing around her until she's almost painful to look at. She speaks in a strong voice that carries over the chaos of the battlefield far more than it should. Our Father is in the sky above you, sir. It is a great sadness that your soured faith means more to you than the evidence of your eyes and the warmth on your skin. Your burning vengeance is naught but a shadow and a lie. That is a mistake many men like you make. Prios is not fire. Prios is the dawn. Prios is light. A blinding brightness erupts from the Lightbringer's form, channeling into a beam that engulfs Ivano Viara. His huge form can be dimly glimpsed within, defiantly upright against the holy force turned against him. He takes one step forward as if against a mighty wind, and then the Lightbringer says something else that cannot be heard clearly, lost in a sudden roar of silence and light that leaves all of you tumble to the earth, clutching at your heads and gasping for air as you are overwhelmed. Moments later, your senses return, sight full of a glowing after effect, and the noise of warriors groaning and slowly scrabbling up from the ground, painful in your ears. Nothing is left of Ivano Viara but empty armor and an elongated shadow of his form blasted into the ground behind him. The saber hangs briefly overhead before suddenly falling limp, her guards scrambling to catch her in time. Little action each again, please. You're all on the ground. So, you might be saying, I'm getting back up. That's fine. But if there's anything else or any way in which you're doing it, let me know. Elindra.
I think Elindra has just had the most significant religious experience of her life, and is probably just gonna kind of kneel in awe for a moment.
Mm-hmm. Steo.
Steo's just gonna have a wee lie down about it.
Just gonna stay lying on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
you've had a
too
rough
much.
afternoon, or it's the kind of almost early evening now. Askarai. It's up to you whether you stayed on the roof, as in if you think you've fallen off the roof with being blasted back a short ways. I'm not going to make you take toughness or anything for it, but it's up to you how dramatic you want your fall to have been.
I think Askar is going to have stayed on the roof, but will kind of get back up and look on in awe, almost like forgetting, probably as many people, that everything that's going on, and is just kind of in absolute shock at what has happened.
Mm-hmm. Aaron Dar, I mean, you're still on the ground, but you've got no idea where this came from. Actually, no. Well, I described that the saber's voice carried over the battlefield, so maybe you heard that. Yeah.
I think I jumped to my feet and retrieved my blades.
And you would do that a lot quicker than other people would. Yeah, absolutely. The battlefield is momentarily quiet until Duke Inadar clambers back onto his feet and screams at the top of his lungs, Ravenya's flag up in his arm. Now! Ravenya! Now! Prios stands at our back! Their murderous leader is dead and the day is ours! Take it! For Ravenya! For Ambria! To me! To me! He leaps down and charges forward into the remnants of the Templars, swiftly followed by the entire ragtag army of Ravenya. It is mere moments before Viara's son sounds their retreat. Which of you join this charge? Askarai might not. You might be firing rather than loose.
I think Askarai would be definitely shooting some bloody Templars, but
yeah, not so much for the Duke, but just for the opportunity to fully rout the Templars.
Mm-hmm. Steo.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm. It's just give me a pint.
Yeah, you're done. You're maybe leaning against the wagon, just trying to catch your breath. Arindar, I'm assuming maybe you charge, but
yeah, I feel like I'm already swept up on the outer edges of the charge, but I will join the rallying cry and
absolutely. And from where you are, you can see a contingent of Vajvad warriors pouring in from the killing they've done on the Templars over to the right there, where they came in. You see the envoy Mulgara among them, hacking at the Templars around her with 2 axes held in her hands. Those of you who remain behind a bit, so Ascarai and Steo, see this. The others don't so much. For those of you unable to join the charge, as the rear guard moves past your position, you can see the small body of Desaber cradled amongst her guards, and for a moment your heart sinks as you see blood over her body. And then you realize that she is held tight against the chest of Fenring, the gore from his wound soaking her robes. "She lives still," he mutters to himself weakly, his face alarmingly pale even as he carries her back to the cart. "She lives still!" We are going to hop to the next morning. All of you have spent, hopefully, a somewhat restful evening in guest rooms in the palace on the mound. The city has, by the time you went to bed late in the evening, the city had somewhat recovered from its shock, and there was all the festival stuff still out after all. So actually, from the somber people moving back into the city, a great deal of the people who fought for Ravenia had died. But also, after a number of hours have passed, the city had erupted into a celebration, the festival continuing essentially as if it had never stopped. The Duke, only hours after the battle end, gave his speech out in the main square of Ravenia as probably a little differently than was originally planned. But the entire thing passed in a blur for you. You had food, you had drink, but no doubt you were thoroughly exhausted from really what was quite a busy day. Because lest we forget, this story has all been one day. You wake the next morning after you find yourselves clad and readied and breakfast. Steo, you've had copious attention, and Arendar, who was also hurt. You've had copious attention from healers. In fact, Steo, you had healing directly from the first Theurg, whose name I keep goddamn forgetting.
Leandro,
yeah, who himself still battered from his torture at the hands of the Whip of Prios, but gave you enough attention. You can all go for admin purposes. You can all move back up your toughness. After the guest rooms you're in have like a common room, so you can kind of breakfast together and speak. And you notice that when you do all sit down and eat like the food laid in front of you, which is a great amount of cold meats, fruits, and wine or beer or water or kind of pulped fruit is laid on for you however you wish to partake. You notice that Anton is not there. But then maybe after half an hour or so, he walks into the common chambers and looks around and says, "Steo, how are you feeling?"
Awful. How are you? How's Desaber?
"I think it's better if you... She will be fine. But it's simpler if you come join us." He kind of rubs at his own arm where the Templar clubbed him to the ground and walks off.
Is he talking to Steo or to all of us?
He's talking to all of you.
I'll follow.
Everyone who can stand, let's go.
Okay. You wander along the corridors of the Mound Palace towards what you feel is kind of like the throne area, the reception area, where presumably the personal chambers of Inadar and his most trusted companions would be. And you find yourself in what feels like a side corridor, walking towards a heavily guarded room. There are 4 guards outside it. They take a glance at Anton and open the door and wave you in. You enter, and arrayed around the room are a number of individuals. There is Duke Inadar is there, as is his squire, the attendant Belalia. There is in a large, very cushioned chair sits Desaber the Old. Fenring sits at her side on a stool, still looking very pale, but with a very attended, kind of like well-dressed stump where his sword arm once was. Leandro is also there, similarly looking the worse for wear in a chair. I think that will do for now. John, question?
Can we also say that Farron is curled up around her feet?
Yes, that is absolutely fine. In fact, I love it. So as you all come in, Desaber kind of like opens her eyes. You get the feeling that she was perhaps dozing or at least resting heavily before this. The Duke stands to his feet and says, well, first of all, my friends, Ravenna owes you a great deal. And that means that I owe you a great deal. There will be remuneration. There will be favors. That is not why I call you here now. Although before you leave Ravenna, those will be delivered to you. I assure you, you will be recompensed for the services you have granted the city, to the dukedom, and to the Lightbringer. Lightbringer? She looks at him and says, I think they have earned it. And I think they will earn more before much more time passes. Duke Inadar kind of nods slowly and says, the events that have happened here, largely my responsibility. I was simply trying to do what was right for our cause. A cause which I hope you will find in your hearts enough guile to keep to yourselves as you travel Ambria further, whether that be at the Lightbringer's bidding, your own motives, or perhaps, well, we can talk about what maybe you could do further for the Duchy of Ravenna after this. That the Lightbringer is here is no accident. I'm sure you realize this. Well, come in. A curtain on the side of the room is pulled aside, and a couple of Theurgs walk out, looking somberly at you all. They are followed by the quite recognizable figure of Father Sarvola. Desaber the Lightbringer leans forward and says, I am sure I need not impart on you the seriousness and importance of telling you that Sarvola will, Prios willing, in a mere number of months, become the first father of the Church of Prios. That is, if we can make it so. And I think we'll end our story there. And we've got a lot to think about before we kick off the next story. Oh, allegiances, alignments. Oh my. There we go. Comments and
Church
questions.
is doing something interesting.
Comments and questions, pop them in chat. We'll talk about them in the end. We'll also talk to the players because this is a significant bit of world development. But first off, I'll do the normal blurb. Links below, galore. Social media, Patreon, Discord, merch store, blah, 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 blah. Twitch, YouTube. You watched on one, check out the other. We've got loads of stuff on YouTube at this point, a ridiculous amount. We run a number of weekly campaigns at the moment. Monday is Call of Cthulhu. That is the Masks of Nyarlathotep campaign that Johnny is running. Big old campaign, only at the beginning of that. Wednesdays is Symbaroum, of course. Might take a week off next week. I don't know. I usually take a week off between big story arcs. I don't know. I'll think about it and let you know. We will be heading. I think I've definitely come down. I was trying to decide. Basically, this was a story from one of the adventure packs, and I was trying to decide if I should run the other story between Witch Hunter and Darkest Star as well. But geographically, I think I have come to the conclusion that it doesn't make much sense. So instead, we'll be leaping straight into the Darkest Star. That is where we are going next. Yes. So with that in mind, I might take next week off to like make sure that's ready. Or maybe we'll do a substitute stream talking about Symbaroum stuff or other stuff or whatever. I don't know. I'm sure Chris is always the person pushing us to do that. And rightly so. But yeah, we'll let you know. Alternate Thursdays is Yellow King, Cosmic Horror, Alt History, Weirdness. Really enjoying running that. You should check it out. I think it would be good for you. Go back to the beginning or it'll make no fucking sense. Probably. So yeah, there we go. We run one-shots every now and then. The next one will probably... God, I almost want to say it might actually be on November 29th. That's the date that leaps out of my head as the one that I think most people could do. But I could be wrong about that. It's the end of November is where we're aiming for. And we're going to be playing probably The Electric State, the latest book from Fria Ligan. A slow, quiet, techno-apocalypse road trip of a game. I got it because I was like, Stalinhag, Fria Ligan. I love these things. I don't really know that much about it, though. And then I got it and I cracked it open and read the whole setting section and was like, oh, yeah, this is my shit. So I'm very excited about that. Yeah, there we go. Before we get into comments and questions from chat, though, is there anything the players want to talk about? This is what we do regularly on the Yellow King, and I feel like enough has happened that these revelations are revelation-y. So yeah, is there anything anyone wants to talk about? Maybe as is a little bit in chat. So I don't know if someone wants to say who's Savola, but yeah, I've forgotten who Savola is. Savola is a prominent theurg in Thistlehold, who the Church of Prios have kind of semi-denounced as a heretic for his outlandish thinkings on things like we shouldn't be killing barbarians and taking land in the forest. We should instead be feeding our people and making peace with everyone. So that's who Savola is. And up until recently, he'd operated a mission in Thistlehold and built a great deal of following. During the course of Wrath of the Warden, there was some tumultuous events. People tried to kill him. And then in recent months, he's basically vanished from Thistlehold. No one knew where he was. Ravenna is the answer.
I'm very excited by the politics of all of this. Have kind of meant that you've got like this breakaway faction of breathtakingly heretical Templars, who, in the course of kind of rising up, seem to have left a space open in the Church of Prios for the mildly heretical people to take over, and that's going to be really good.
Yeah,
like I think we'd do it. I think Heresy Light seems like a good way forward for the Church of Prios. And
like certainly First Father Giuseppe Guy has done nothing for you guys. No,
whereas Savola's pretty cool and Desaber's pretty cool, and like a bunch of the people that we've met in and around Ravenna have been pretty cool from that point of view. And yeah, Elindra and Anton have seen too much to not be somewhat heretical. I think even Anton is like he's just seen too much of the world, right?
I mean, obviously we'd have to ask Mike, but I think Anton's stock is very firmly placed in Desaber's camp.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Where's the magical kid? Am I remembering right that Savola had like
Alwyn. Yeah.
He's not magical. He was just wandering around in the forest, like several tens of miles away from where he was supposed to be. That's perfectly normal behavior for an 8-year-old child.
It's fine. Nothing to worry about there. Anything else from the players before we go through the comments and stuff? No. Cool. Okay, John, we'll get the ball rolling, please. Stephen, Flanked by Horses, one of my favorite 90s indie bands. See, I would say that Flanked by Horses is a 2000s alt indie country band, but that's just me.
Alt indie country. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, like a kind of
some flavor of shoegaze.
Yeah, Lee Munley. Lee Munley, is that his name?
I don't know.
I have to look through my music library now.
I stopped discovering music once the 90s ended.
Fair enough.
So I don't know what anyone's been doing this century. But I'm sure it's lovely.
I think I'm thinking of his name is Munley, but I can't remember his first name. He's also in a few other acts, but I think the act I'm specifically thinking of is Munley and the Lee Lewis Harlots.
Nice.
Lee Munley.
I just fundamentally, I figured that Flanked by Horses sounds like exactly the kind of band that John Peel would have been into.
Oh yeah, sure, yeah. Next, please. Don't kick food. House rules judgment right now. Steo can never die. Look, as intense as Chris is on paining me and things like constant references to in-jokes of my failings, I'm happy to heave it right back by just completely protecting Steo from now until the end of the campaign. No, I will judge on Steo the same way I judge on everyone else, as a sort of vaguely benevolent tyrant. Next.
We have a suggestion for when that maybe doesn't happen.
Ranadandra, Chris's new character name, Steont. Yep.
We also have this from Steve.
That's a calculator, Chris. You've just typed 20. Yeah.
We have a suggestion for why maybe Anton didn't do anything super dramatic at the end.
You want to look Mike in the eyes when you kill Anton? Yeah.
That's what all of this has been leading up to.
What's the point in doing it if I can't see that man cry? Next. Steve again. Can Anton cast an inverse phase version of Blessed Shield?
Cursed Shield.
Anton can barely cast normal Blessed Shield.
But maybe that's the thing. Maybe he tries to cast Blessed Shield, but it becomes a Cursed Shield.
I distinctly remember you describing last session that like Anton and Alindra had Anton's standard Blessed Shield, and like DeSaber and other people had like the actual good Blessed Shield.
Yeah. Next.
While we're on the topic of Anton.
Eyeing up Anton, me and my wife saw you across the battlefield and liked your vibe. Yeah, that was, I said something about eyeing up Anton or like seeing Anton across the battlefield or something. Yeah, that would not happen to Anton. He might be the husband, you know?
Is it still canon that he has short shorts or like something? To that
No, he's got his robes back.
He may have the short shorts underneath the robes.
Yeah, maybe.
I think of him a bit like Tobias.
Yeah, there are dozens of us. Dozens. He hasn't had to rip up his robes in quite a while.
Yeah, we can afford torches now and bandages. So
yeah.
We have one actual serious comment.
42, in these big melees, it might be useful to use minis you have around as counters to keep track of enemies. Definitely when I'm doing like role play in person, that's something I definitely have done in the past. My counter for that on this is that I feel like unless I can find good room to like set it up here, it's not going to be particularly useful. If I have to like, show, look at this, but I don't have that much room. The other is that I don't own any minis. Actually, that's absolute bollocks. I have whole boxes full of board games, and many of them have minis, but none of them would feel particularly appropriate, I think, for this. Or maybe some of them would, I don't know. If we were going to do something like that, it's definitely, I cordially dislike VTTs, virtual tabletops, just because I'm really a theater of the mind guy, and I feel like as soon as you start introducing maps and things, you start like playing it like a board game. And if people like to do that, that's cool. Go do that. It's just not particularly for me. However, having said that, I can see the advantage to setting up some kind of VTT to do this kind of thing on, just like symbols and stuff, and just to lay it out so it's less like a mini map and more like a map, like a really top down thing. And maybe we can do that at some point in future. There are, of course, many VTTs out there, but many of them I find are shockingly difficult to do quite simple, striking, easy information on, because they're all very kind of like, as they should be, focused on like, you want to play this like a miniature, you know what I mean? So but maybe there's something we could do just in a quick vector art program or something.
We should
do the trick.
We should find the characters in Raid Shadow Legends that look most like our characters. Right? Get a sponsorship, into them as well.
Yeah, and then convince them to set their maps up to reflect the story of.
It's a money printing machine, Matt.
Absolutely, I can't see anything wrong with it. Of course, a VTT we talked about using for a while is alchemy. But if anything, I think alchemy sends us further down the theater of the mind route, because it's not really set up for things like maps and stuff. I think you could do them on it, although it wouldn't be very responsive. But although we really should try alchemy. I've got I backed on Kickstarter and I haven't really touched it yet. Anyway, that went off in. But I take your point, but I'm not sure we'd be able to accomplish it with minis. Need a giant whiteboard. I mean, I do have this, which in a way is a giant whiteboard.
It would at least help you keep track of who's facing up against who. And
yeah, that's not a bad idea. And I could also do little maps on there as well, couldn't I? It's just how much is that just a clunky, how much is that any better than the little map I drew? You know what I mean?
Who needs minis when you've got post-it notes? I love the office sheet TTRPG vibe.
Post-it notes, excuse me. These are magnetic.
Oh, that's somehow worse. That's the it's not a real fridge moment of this channel, actually, I think.
I was literally about to reference that myself. So we're online. We know things. Yeah. Okay.
We're only half a decade late with that reference.
Yeah. And I don't even know it from the original thing. I just know it from Yogg's Cast Jingle Jam compilation. Okay, John, have we got anything else?
The final thing was, it was from me, shamelessly from me, a suggestion of what you could call the not Templars.
A Templant. Sure. I'm sure that would have made the moment extra dramatic. Nothing like throwing a few puns in with your big. Did we like the ending? I was a bit worried it was going to be Isocles Part 2 a little bit, but I thought it was different enough. I also liked this was exactly the vibe I was going for from Ramadandra, fucking nuclear shadow. Yeah, that was exactly the thing. Because I was like, how do you I like when magic is portrayed, having it with more elements that just a magic spell and now he's as dust or whatever. I wanted to feel like powerful in a scary way,
Yeah. No, if Prios is the god of light and the sun, then it tracks that he would also be the god of fucking nuclear obliteration.
Yeah. That is 100% how it would go down. And Prios being alive confirmed in your face.
Sure. Yeah. Also, I forgot to use it again during this session, and I forgot to use it in the original session. But here's a picture of the son of Ivano Viara's son riding up to attack Ravenna. But I completely forgot to use it in both sessions. But there you go. There it is now. Isn't that nice?
F's in chat.
F's in chat. Ivano Viara, we barely knew you. What a shame. Okay. I'd also mentioned that Don't Kick Food said there were big project manager vibes with my whiteboard. Can't figure out why. So there we go. I wasn't saying that Don't Kick Food couldn't figure out. I was being, I was trying to be funny. So there we go, folks. Like I say, next week, probably no Symbaroum. Maybe a substitute stream, maybe not. We'll let you know. And then I'd imagine Darkest Star will start the week after that. I would imagine. Next week we will have Call of Cthulhu and Yellow King, though, so keep tuned for those. And we'll see you very soon. Take care, stay safe, be good or bad, preferably.